with singer R. Kelly, who is back in custody, this time facing federal sex crimes charges. NYPD detectives and Homeland Security agents arrested Kelly last night in Chicago. He was indicted earlier in the day by two federal courts, the Northern District of Illinois, based in Chicago, and the Eastern District of New York, based in Brooklyn.
The 13-count indictment accuses Kelly of charges related to child pornography, enticement of a minor, and obstruction of justice. And this is on top of the state charges he already faces. CTM national correspondent Jerika Duncan has been covering the allegations of abuse by R. Kelly, which he strongly denies, we should point out. Jerika, what else do we know?
Well, this is the first time that R. Kelly is facing federal charges. We heard that this was coming. It was really a matter of when. Federal prosecutors in New York are expected to announce charges as early as today, which our sources say could involve sex trafficking. For the second time this year, R&B singer R. Kelly was arrested in Chicago on sex crime charges. Federal agents took the three-time Grammy winner into custody. Sources say it happened while he was walking his dog in front of his Trump Tower apartment Thursday night.
For more charges, even if you're innocent.
Kelly's crisis manager, Daryl Johnson, says the singer's team was expecting federal charges, and they are ready to fight them.
It has a lot of fans, a lot of people praying for him, and they're wishing him the best. And, you know, the best outcome is for him to be out. And that's what we all hope.
Kelly had already been charged with a number of sex-related crimes this year.
The new indictment alleges additional counts.
Just 6 weeks ago, he pleaded not guilty to 11 of those charges in Chicago, 4 of which carry up to 30 years in prison each, if convicted. In an explosive interview with Gayle King in March, Kelly insisted he has done nothing wrong and denied allegations he abused women.
Well, how stupid would it be for R. Kelly, with all I've been through in my way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that? Is this camera on me?
Yes, it's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
The singer has denied allegations of sexual misconduct for decades and was acquitted on state child pornography charges in 2008. R. Kelly has pleaded not guilty to all previous charges against him. It's unclear whether these new federal charges, like the obstruction of justice charge, are related to the previous ones. We don't know yet when Kelly will appear before a judge next. Anthony?
Jerika, thank you. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman is with us. Ricky, good morning.
Good morning.
How serious are these new federal charges?
They are definitely serious. What we are dealing with is the possibility not only of sex trafficking, where you're looking at 10 years to life, depending on the severity of the crime, but we're also dealing with the possibility, I want to underline that, of a federal RICO charge in New York. And if that should come to pass, we're really looking at life. Now he isn't facing years. He's facing decades.
Decades. That's the difference between the state and the feds.
Well, he was facing about 30 years in the state, but that didn't necessarily mean that he was going to get it. When you look at two federal jurisdictions, the Northern District of Illinois, located in Chicago, the Eastern District of New York, located in Brooklyn, this time nobody's kidding around.
Why are the feds involved?
I would guess, and I can only guess, that the feds are involved for two reasons. Number one, if the Eastern District of New York is involved, they're like the Southern District. They don't do things unless they are really locked, loaded, ready. And that means that probably Main Justice in Washington has really put a priority on the issue of sex trafficking. I think we can see that this week with Jeffrey Epstein and now with R. Kelly, and with a statement from the head of the FBI in New York that sex trafficking is, in fact, something that they are not letting go of. And they are serious in New York. So now we have to have a nexus in New York. Did he transport a woman to New York? Did he film a woman into New York? Did he make some phone calls out of New York? There must be a nexus. But this time, they really may think that Chicago state's attorney has moved too slowly and that they are not going to take what they believe is a serial predator and let him take his time. Real question is detention.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that it only took 2 decades for him to be brought to justice.
Well, we're in the same story twice in 1 week.
We are. We are. Thank you, Ricky Kleeman.
We start off with singer R. Kelly, who is back in custody, this time facing federal sex crimes charges. NYPD detectives and Homeland Security agents arrested Kelly last night in Chicago. He was indicted earlier in the day by 2 federal courts, the Northern District of Illinois, based in Chicago, and the Eastern District of New York, based in Brooklyn.
The 13-count indictment accuses Kelly of charges related to child pornography, enticement of a minor, and obstruction of justice. And this is on top of the state charges he already faces. CTM national correspondent Jerika Duncan has been covering the allegations of abuse by R. Kelly, which he strongly denies, we should point out. Jerika, what else do we know?
Well, this is the first time that R. Kelly is facing federal charges. We heard that this was coming. It was really a matter of when. Federal prosecutors in New York are expected to announce charges as early as today, which our sources say could involve sex trafficking. For the second time this year, R&B singer R. Kelly was arrested in Chicago on sex crime charges. Federal agents took the 3-time Grammy winner into custody. Sources say it happened while he was walking his dog in front of his Trump Tower apartment Thursday night.
For more charges, even if you're innocent.
Kelly's crisis manager, Daryl Johnson, says the singer's team was expecting federal charges, and they are ready to fight them.
It's has a lot of fans, a lot of people praying for him, and they're wishing him the best. And, you know, the best outcome is for him to be out. And that's what we all hope.
Kelly had already been charged with a number of sex-related crimes this year.
The new indictment alleges additional counts.
Just 6 weeks ago, he pleaded not guilty to 11 of those charges in Chicago, 4 of which carry up to 30 years in prison each, if convicted. In an explosive interview with Gayle King in March, Kelly insisted he has done nothing wrong and denied allegations he abused women.
Well, how stupid would it be for R. Kelly, with all I've been through in my way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that? Is this camera on me?
Yes, it's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
The singer has denied allegations of sexual misconduct for decades and was acquitted on state child pornography charges in 2008. R. Kelly has pleaded not guilty to all previous charges against him. It's unclear whether these new federal charges, like the obstruction of justice charge, are related to the previous ones. We don't know yet when Kelly will appear before a judge next. Anthony?
Jerika, thank you.
Good morning, my faithful lawyer YouTube subscribers. Today it is Friday, July 2nd. I'm sitting outside near the pool area. If you hear some other voices, there are a bunch of people in the pool kind of early, but it is 11 o'clock in the morning. Not so bad out here today right now. R. Kelly, black ass. You know what? I don't have any sympathy for R. Kelly. R. Kelly's going to get life in prison behind this situation, unfortunately. Charged with federal charges, 13 federal charges, very serious charges, I might add. In federal court, he'd be in New York tomorrow. They're transporting him from Chicago to New York. More than likely, some of those charges are based out of New York or in that area. You know, this man had a great opportunity that a lot of us don't get in life. And he threw it away because of his sexual addiction habits. The man is a sex addict. And I'm beginning to learn that sexual addiction is a huge problem with many men, just like the other rich multi-billionaire was arrested this week. Sexual addiction, and then particularly wanting to have sex with younger children. They're basic sex addicts who are pedophiles. And I'm beginning to see this very destructive to a lot of people's lives. And if you don't go get help for it, which there's a ton of help available for these people, if they can be helped at all, in many instances, some of these people just belong behind bars. And that's what's going to happen to R. Kelly. R. Kelly's on his way to prison. He might, more than likely, he's going to get life in prison. It's over with for R. Kelly. When them feds jumped in there and took over this and started their investigation, I was like, okay, then they arrested him yesterday. It's over with. He's done. Ain't no way in hell he's going to be able to beat the federal government with a 99.9% conviction rate. is over with. The cost for him to defend himself against them is impossible. That's why they took over those charges. And to be honest with you, I've gotten so many messages from people who have been harmed by these sexual predators all over the United States, men and women, that it's a situation that the United States has tended to ignore for years. And wealthy, very wealthy men have abused hundreds of thousands of young people, men and women, for their sexual benefits. And it's time for all this stuff to come to light. And these people are now being charged. It doesn't matter the race or wealth. They are going to prison left and right. If you're paying attention, you will see that they have arrested various people, different races, religions, and backgrounds. If you're paying attention, because I've seen several, even not too long ago, a well-known pastor was arrested, and I think he was Hispanic, and charged something similar. He was going to build a massive church here in Atlanta, but he's in prison now, so I guess he can do his service to the Lord behind bars. But he's also charged with child trafficking, something similar to that. But he's a wealthy pastor, Hispanic guy, who was about to build a very massive church here in the Atlanta area, but he's charged with federal charges. He won't be coming here now. Sexual addiction. I mean, we just have to. I'm kind of. I don't have a sexual addiction. I have some problems. I guess I could say I like a good pot of coffee in the morning time. After I like cars. Shit. I'll buy a car in a heartbeat. As for when it comes to sex and sexual addiction, and I never had that issue. But I do have friends who've admitted to me that they are sex addicts. And I've heard the stories of them having to have sex with multiple people several times a day, and they're still not satisfied. And I've always said, why don't you go get professional help? And they never go get help because they're embarrassed about it. And they really don't even know where to start. They don't even know where to start, where to go, who to call. They don't know anything. And I've talked to a lot of people like that right here in Atlanta. And particularly in the gay community, you have a ton of men suffering from sexual addiction, gay and straight men mostly. I haven't met any women who have sexual addiction, but I've met a lot of men. And so unfortunately, the vast majority of guys I've dealt with personally in my personal life that I've dated, they were sex addicts. When I look back over the years of the guys that I dated over the past years, the only person I can honestly say that wasn't a sex addict was Earl. That's why we were able to make a relationship last for 20-something odd years, but we were just battling it out over petty, stupid shit. We're going to talk about that later in 2020. But it just makes you wonder, all this professional help out there. Could R. Kelly have gotten the help that he needed mentally and physically for his problem had he sought the help that he needed? When he had that first trial that he was able to get out of back in the 90s or 2000, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was in the 90s. He continued right on down the path that he was going, very destructive path that just led him to federal prison. So, I don't know. I guess I just don't feel sorry for him. I just really don't. I mean, he had all this wealth and money and opportunity to do stuff to correct this issue. He should have been in a much better place. He was in a better place financially to go get help that he needed. Maybe he never realized that he needed help. Maybe he thought in his mind, in his situation, some people go through life with so much dysfunction that it becomes normal. And in his mind, maybe what he was doing with these young girls was normal. And it's sad, and I think he had a lot of people surrounding him who assisted him to a degree by not reporting him or ignoring what they saw. So, I don't know. I don't feel sorry for him. No, I just don't. I just think that the sun came out of here just that fast. Ooh, Lord, back in his house. But just that, this man had plenty of time and opportunity to change his wicked ways. Plenty of time. But obviously he chose not to do so. He didn't see anything wrong with his actions. Because he didn't see anything wrong with his actions, and didn't make any changes. And no one in his inner circle was able to convince him, man, this is not right. I mean, this man is going to prison. He's more than likely to end up with life in prison. The charges are just 13 very serious charges. I don't see him even, I don't even think that he may not be able to even get a bond on these charges. He might. You know, they got that rich billionaire trying to get, he's going to court this today, and he's trying to get him $77 million on bond or something. I forget, I think his name was Joel Epps. What is this guy, billionaire arrested? He was arrested. He was arrested this week. I think his name is Joel Epstein. Not too sure. There was a Chinese billionaire arrested for child molestation too this week, Wang Zahuna. He was arrested in New York for child molestation. So there's a Chinese billionaire arrested for child molestation. And this was in China. That was in China. I'm trying to find this other guy. What's wrong with this darn computer? It's not working. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein, arrested and accused of sex trafficking. Florida-based billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. So they're going after these individuals. And the Chinese billionaire, he was arrested yesterday. So, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about all this. And Joel Epstein, there are going to be other people who are going to be arrested who are running around having sex with these young women. These young girls, his friends that he was bringing to his mansion to have sex with these young girls, they're going to be arrested also on charge. A bunch of rich, sick men passing young girls around like they candy and having sex with them. But R. Kelly's day in court is coming, and it ain't going to look too good. I don't know. I wonder where all these supporters are. At one point, it was all these black folks running around supporting R. Kelly. Are they still running around supporting them now? I just wonder. But nothing surprises me about the black community where they support these criminals. It just don't make no damn sense. They are black folks, the only people I know on planet Earth who cuddle they fucking criminals. Instead of saying, you are a bad person, go to jail. They don't want to do that. So, anyway, it's hot out here. I just wanted to do a video about R. Kelly's situation, get you all's thoughts and opinions on it. You also, what are your thoughts on this? I just wonder, could he have been rehabilitated by himself? Before all these police had to get involved in it? Because it seems like he wasn't going to stop. This was going to continue and continue and continue and continue and continue. And he was going to continue to be this person who was going around doing minister stuff to these young girls. And it just makes you wonder. But I guess he's where he needs to be now, behind bars. Because it just seemed like he was not going to stop his foolish behavior. He just wasn't going to stop it. But anyway, it's hot out here. I'm going to go back inside this house and make some breakfast and just try to see if I'm going to go to this gym today. But I would love to hear you all's thoughts and opinions about the federal charges R. Kelly is facing. You think he's going to get life in prison? You think he can beat these charges? I don't know how he's going to beat them damn charges against the federal government. Good luck. That man going to be sitting in prison for quite some time. If he is found convicted of these charges, which I'm pretty sure once the feds build a case, they pretty much got him by the balls, literally. Is sex that good that you want to go to prison for the rest of your damn life? You have to wonder about these sex addicts running around here. It's just odd. Like I said, every guy I've ever dated here in the Atlanta metropolitan area, the vast majority of guys I've dated, they have some type of sexual addiction. And I really didn't know what it was 20 years ago, but now I understand what it is. I never forget 2 guys I dated. I caught them both coming out of Piedmont Park in the middle of the night. Sex addicts. Running around having sex in a park, pitch black park that you can't even see nobody and see who you having sex with. What are you doing in this park? And back then I didn't quite understand it because I was very young. I was probably about 25, 26 when this was going on. Yeah, I was about 25, 24, 25. Yep, I was. And when I look back on that mess, I didn't understand it. Now I do understand it. I do understand if you catch somebody in some type of sex place, somebody hit me up talking about some place called the Den. Did I know something about somebody? I don't go to them types of damn places. Don't give a fuck about them damn places. There's no interest for me to go to a sex bathhouse. Y'all can do the fuck y'all want to do. I don't care. There's nothing to do. Gay people have a tendency to participate in a lot of sexual crazy shit. I don't want nothing to do with it. But if that's what you like to do, knock yourself out. Just don't involve me. Because I don't want shit to do with it. I don't want nothing to do with too many sex addicts running around here. They're sick in the fucking head. That's why I have no sympathy for R. Kelly. Lock that ignorant ass nigga up. He going right where he need to be in federal prison for the rest of his goddamn life. Goodbye, R. Kelly. And anybody else like him that's running around here sexually abusing young children, they should be locked up in the keys and thrown away. They don't give these children an opportunity to have a normal life. And I read these horrific stories and accounts that people tell me, and I'm shocked by this shit. Women being abused by their fathers, uncles, cousins, and family members know this shit is happening, and they don't do nothing but go to church and pray about it. People being told to forgive your abuser. How can you forgive this? This is insane. Wow, I've read so many messages people have sent me of where people have literally asked them, family members have asked them to forgive their uncles, aunts, and even in some cases their own fathers for sexually abusing them as a child, just to forgive them. You know, take them niggas to court and file charges against them and lock their asses up. In most cases, there is no statute of limitation for these types of charges. And if you can prove it and you know it's true, lock them up so they don't hurt and harm nobody else. R. Kelly's been out there hurting a lot of women for a long time, a lot of young girls for a long time, whether we like it or not. And I don't want to hear this stuff about these young girls. These young girls are victims. They're victims. Regardless of whether they knew what they were doing or not, they are victims because clearly they should not have known. Somebody that young is not smart enough to know you don't be running around with a 30-something-year-old man, however R. Kelly was at that time, or however he might be today. I think R. Kelly's similar, close to my age or my older. But anyway, we have a lot of sex addicts running around here. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better. I have a friend of mine who I personally know who picked his nephew up from school one day. A teenager took him to a park and performed oral sex on this young man. Now, this was his nephew. His nephew went home and told his mother what his uncle had just did. Now, this was his mother's brother, and she did not hesitate to call 911 on that nigga. Sure did. I remember this shit was all over the news, and he was running. And I remember me, because this was somebody I knew, a personal friend of mine. This was a couple years back. And I remember us telling him, you need to turn yourself in because you're all over Channel 2 News, WSB TV. They running a big ad. They looking out for you. What are you going to do, run for the rest of your life? He had to turn himself in, and he ended up going to prison behind this. Picked up his own nephew from school, supposed to take him home, took him to a park, and performed oral sex on him. And the boy went home and told his mama. And they locked that nigga up. Me and my friends were in shock about this for days. Like, we could not believe this man that did this. This is somebody I personally knew. Me and my friends, we knew him. We were all like, I was renovating houses at the time. And I remember sitting up there watching this, everybody talk about this, and we were renovating houses, and I had to sit down and think, why would this man do something like that? Nice looking brother. Sexual addiction. He had already been shot picking up. He had picked up a teenager a few years earlier, and the boy tried to kill him and had shot him a couple times in his car, and he still didn't learn his lesson? So now you're going to molest your own relatives. Anyway, he went to prison, and now he's registered as a sex offender and can barely find a job any damn where in America. But anyway, like I said, I don't have those issues. Thank God. You know, we all know he don't exist. Thank this cup of coffee. We're just getting cold out here. Anyway, if you like my videos, click like, share them with family members and friends. I look forward to reading y'all's comments. Today is Friday, July 12th, the year is 2019. And, well, I guess R. Kelly's music is going to be gone for, I don't know if they ever play that shit on the radio again. We shall see. Anyway, I'm out of here and enjoy your Friday.